realtors like this. And so basically back to the point, though, it's just a matter of asking questions. And the less you say, the better. Keeping your explanation of the lease purchase process down to a minimum. Just say you're looking for deals.
Okay.
Yeah. One of my favorite sayings from Max is sell today, make money today, and educate tomorrow. So many times what Joe brought up before, they'll say, well, what's a lease purchase? How does it work? And do you guys know what happens next?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just yakking away for 30, 40 minutes, and I'll think about it. I'll talk to and I maybe it's me. I'm just an impatient New Yorker. I don't want to get caught up in that free consulting, as George said before. I'd rather go back to asking questions and deriving a need or a greed, finding the stimuli so that I can get a commitment and find a way to do business with that realtor or somebody, rather than go through this whole education process. I want to find out first, can we do a deal? Are they the owner? What are some of the numbers and stuff like that? And I'll ask their permission. Hey, Mr. Prospect, you mind if I ask you a few questions for see if we can do business today? And then you ask me a few questions. What I'm trying to do is get the information and get and find out, can I do business with this guy, or should I get off the phone? And maybe.
So how do you redirect that question? Tell me about a lease option, or what is a lease option? How do you redirect that?
That's called my favorite technique is called the stop and go technique. That's where you start to answer the question, because if you obfuscate, if you say, well, I don't want to answer that question right now or something, their reaction is going to be, oh God, this, very, I don't want, this guy won't tell me or something like that. So what you do is a stop and go. You say, and you give a stroke first. You say, George, that's a great question. A lot of people ask me that. Basically, a lease with an option is a solution for moving your property quickly. It's a combination of a rental and a potential. Now, let me ask you something, George, before I finish that. And then you segue. Who knows how to spell segue? Is that a S-E? How do we spell segue?
G-U-E.
See, thank you. You won the Friday spelling bee here. You say, you do the stop and go. You give them a stroke, which is a compliment. Everybody loves a stroke. And then you give them a partial answer, but then you stop and go to your real questions. And I will tell you right now, unless they took my course or read my book, they won't know what you're doing because it's so stealth. It's so natural. Does anybody want to practice? Here, let's go. Where's Colt? The Marines have landed, gentlemen. Say hello to Colt Gordon in San Diego.
Hey, Colt.
Hey, Colt.
Colt, you just got. Are you still in? It's the Marines, right?
No, I've been out for. Check out the hair, man. Come on.
Oh, okay.
I've been out for 2 years, but I'm technically still in for another 2 inactive reserves.
All right, well, Semper Fi.
Yeah, I
Colt, go ahead. Let's do a little role play here. And
all right. You want me to call you or you call me?
Let's see you do what I just taught. Colt, this sounds interesting. But I've never this lease purchase. How does this work on my home?
I don't know.
That's a good answer too, actually.
Right.
Do a stop and go.
Stop and go.
Well, you're talking to me about this lease purchase. How does this work? Are people going to trash my home and stuff like that?
No, actually, great question, by the way. I would say that lease option, especially if you're concerned about the home that you're renting out, is probably the best if you're looking to preserve your home, because you're getting that quality renter that's actually going to take care of a home since they have the option to buy. You're not going to have to fix toilets and worry about them trashing the place, especially if they have an option to buy. I mean, this is something that you would want rather than finding the first person that rents a place out.
Yeah, it sounds okay and everything. I've heard a little bit about it, but how do I know you're not going to put somebody in there who's going to trash my place and everything? I mean, how do you make? Oh, I know the one. How do you make money on this? Anybody here ever get that?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's switch roles, Claude.
Oh, okay. Hey, Joe McCall, how do you make money on this, Mr. Guru?
So are you the I'm sorry, Claude. Are you the realtor and I'm the investor?
I can be whatever you want. How about I be the homeowner?
Okay.
The nasty homeowner. Let's put Joe.
Okay.
We'll put Joe on the spot here. So, Joe, this stuff you're talking about, this lease option, it sounds good and everything, but how do you make money on this?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know. It just depends.
What do you mean depends? Depends on what?
Well, it depends on how the numbers work and what you need. Tell me a little bit about the house. Why are you trying to sell it?
Because my mother-in-law moved in with us, and we don't have enough room, and we need a bigger place, and this is a 3-bedroom, and I have 5 kids and a wife and a mother-in-law and 3 gerbils.
Well, great. So you're wanting to move because you need some more space, and your house has been listed for sale for how many months now?
Probably, I don't know, a year or so.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the pictures of this home. Looks like a really nice house. Why don't you think you've sold it yet?
Well, it's probably the realtor's fault.
Yeah, those tricky realtors. No. Well, okay. So let me ask you something though. You've been trying to sell this thing for a long time. What are you going to do if you can't sell it? Are you going to rent it out?
I'm going to go crazy here. You don't know what it's like. Have you ever lived with 5 kids and a mother-in-law and 3 gerbils that get loose all the time?
No, I can't say that I have, but that's not fair, Claude. You can't do that. So I mean,
I said 5 kids. You only have 4, right?
Yes, I have 4 kids.
Okay, you're working on 5, right?
All right. So, well,
or your wife is.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller, because maybe I can help you, maybe I can't, and it's okay to say no. But if I could lease your property for a few years, take care of all the maintenance and repairs, buy the property at the end, that wouldn't be any interest or not.
Well, I think that sounds pretty good, all things considered. I think that might be okay.
Okay. So when do you need to move?
Man, if I could get out of this place before March, I'd love it.
So you need to move pretty quickly. So if I could give you a solution that can help you move within the next 30 days, what would you want to do then?
I'd probably want to move forward.
Well, how about this? And by the way, let's just say I'm in the same city.
Okay.
Why don't you? Well, I was going to say I'd probably schedule a time to meet with you.
Okay.
But let's pretend that we're not going to do that. So rewind. Well, I tell you what. Why don't you tell me some numbers here? How much do you think the house is worth right now?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't take a penny less than 150.
150. Okay. And what do you think the house is worth, though?
Oh, 150. I mean, just because my neighbor just sold his house for 125, same exact house, but I put in new toilet seats all through this house, and I wouldn't take a dime less than 150.
Okay, all right, that's fair. Would you mind if I ask you, if I came over today with a briefcase of $120,000 in cash, are you telling me you wouldn't take it?
Well, you got me thinking. Maybe. Is that what you want to do? I think we lost Joe.
Can you hear me, Claude?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. So, I mean, if I could come over with $120,000 in a briefcase, are you telling me you wouldn't take it?
Suppose I said yes.
Well, I could come over and take a look at the house and write you up a contract to buy the home.
Are you going to give me $125,000 cash?
Well, I'll need some time to do some title search on the property, title work, and have my contractor take a look at it. But possibly there may be a deal here for you.
Okay, that's good.
But let me look at I was going to say, let me look at the numbers and get back to you. But I was approaching it as I'd like to make an offer to buy the house.
Okay.
And if the numbers work, I could wholesale it to another investor. But if you were to stick with 150, you wanted 150.
Yeah.
Then I would have taken the lease purchase route. Does that make sense?
Let's assume I want 150 that is unreasonable. Can I keep you on the spot for one more minute here?
Yeah, sure.
Let's assume that my 150 is unreasonable, but I don't have a mortgage on the property.
Oh, hey.
Let me throw a monkey wrench in here.
Okay.
Anybody else want to stay in this, Joe?
Yeah, sure. I think I have some ideas. Okay, so Mr. Seller, you say that the house is worth about 150, and that's what you want to sell it for. Is that right?
I'm saying that's what I have to get. I got to get 150.
Okay. Now, if you don't mind me asking, do you have a mortgage on the home, or is it free and clear?
It's free and clear.
Oh, so you don't have a mortgage. Great. Okay. Well, let me ask you something. If I could get you 150, would you be willing to carry back some of the financing for me?
What does that mean? I don't understand that.
Well, it means I would give you that $150,000 over time with the payments.
Well, how long are we talking about here?
Well, what if I paid you, let's say, $800 a month until paid in full?
Well, I need to get my money out of this in a couple of years. I can't wait forever. I need some cash.
Okay, well, what if I gave you something like, and I'm just throwing some numbers out here, but what if I gave you like $500 a month and then with the promise to cash you out in 5 years?
I got to talk to my wife, but I think I could live with that.
Oh, hold on a second. Honey, come here. Come here.
Hey, wait a second.
Wait a second. This gentleman says he wants to get his wife's permission. Let me ask you, is it okay with you? Hey,
I don't know why.
My wife said it's okay with her. Have I ever heard that before?
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Wow, that's weird.
I don't know where. I think I've heard that before. By the way, I do that all the time. And they either get, I'd say 75% laugh, but there's that 25% that don't know how to take it. That was good.
Do that. I don't have
hey, round of applause for my friend Joe McCall here. That was, I put him on the hot seat there for a while. I think what I took out of that role play, Joe, is there's no one way to do a deal. There's many ways. You have to, the word I've been using a lot lately is creativity. I think you need to have a pretty good knowledge of different strategies and techniques and things. And I think you also have to have a comfortable dialogue or sales system so that you can get that information and think. What I'm usually doing is writing a slew of notes and trying to figure out how can I make money with this guy? How can I make money with this deal? What kind of strategy I'm doing? And in the beginning, when you're just getting started in this business, and it's like you're on the spot. It's a little nerve-wracking. Would you gentlemen agree?
Yeah.
Henry, what's your take on this?
I think you're totally right. You have to go with the flow. You find the hot button. I mean, the hot button was, look, your house is crowded and packed. You need to move out, and you want to move out soon. The thing that you look at is how flexible is he on those terms? I mean, if he owns it free and clear and it's 150, you go, well, if you own it free and clear, do you have some flexibility there, Claude, on the time? Would you be willing maybe to wait, 2 or 3 years? Is that something that we can do? And kind of delve in a little bit if he's a little bit more flexible on it, from that side. So I try to find an opening, at that point of where, like you said, where we can do the deals. If he's absolutely, tied down on that 150 and doesn't want to move and wants it today, then I would, probably try to go maybe on the consulting route on the outside if he's tried a realtor and doesn't work, which that's what happened there.
Thank you for that. How do you guys handle the unrealistic seller? The guy who I just portrayed, who wants 150, it's barely worth 125. The comp's barely supported. How do you guys treat that person?
Well, the way that I come about it is how he came up with that number. Why is that number so important? Why the 150? Yeah.
Oh, Claudia's here. Claudia,
yes,
is it okay? Can I sell Joe?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Joe.
Claudia is.
Hey, Joe, and the rest of you guys. Of course, it's okay to sell them.
I had to. She finally came in the room here. Timing is everything, dear. Timing. You know. Do a role play with me. Let's have a little fun here, Henry. Take the 150 roll, even though it's 125. So, Henry, how much do you want for your house if we can do business today? What's your best price?
My best price is 150, Claude.
Please don't take this the wrong way, Henry, but the comps in that area, from what I can see, are probably 115 to 125. How did you get to that price?
Well, because my house is the best house in the block, Claude. I put in, I remodeled the kitchen. I have a pool in back. Mine's the best house on the block. That's the reason why I feel it's 150 is a good price.
Why don't you just make it 175 then? Or 180?
Well, if I could get 180 or 175, I would do it.
Absolutely. Boom. And I'm going to go in an opposite direction. Because I figure this is not a guy I'm going to do business with. Let's forget about him. He has a mortgage. He's an unrealistic, what do you call these guys? In denial or something?
Except that it's free and clear. So if you can get a good monthly payment, you can pay him $154 as long as you can push the time out long enough.
I agree.
And I was going to go back to Joe and ask him about. He first said, "Well, Claude, could I pay you $800 a month?" And then you kind of said no. I'm really looking to close it quick. And then he came back and said, "Well, I could pay you $500 a month and close it out in 5 years." So I wanted to ask Joe what he was thinking when he gave those two separate offers.
Those are principal-only payments.
Right. Yes.
So it's a zero-interest loan.
Oh, God, I love that technique, by the way. Principal-only payments, are just... See, the thing is, my thinking on that is even if the price is unreasonable, what you were saying, George, if we can get the owner to hold the mortgage for, let's say, 5 years, 60 payments, principal only, like Joe said, I can sell that to another investor.
Right.
Or I can maybe rent it out, or I can do a lease purchase, or I can wholesale assign to a tenant who wants to live in it. Because even when the price is unreasonable, if the terms are attractive, can't we sell that deal?
Absolutely.
And to me, I get a guy with an unreasonable price, but he can hold the mortgage. That to me is a home run. I love that because I can go to other investors. I can go to people who want to live in the property. Do you ever advertise a property? Owner financing. If that doesn't turn on people, no bank, owner will carry, principal only payments.
Right.
If I can't pick up at least 5 to 10% of the purchase price up front as an assignment fee or option money or something, I'm doing something wrong. Because when you eliminate the bank, I think that turns on people. Your thoughts?
Yep, I agree.
We just don't have enough of those out there, do we?
Hey, Claude, how do you explain? Let's advance forward and say they're all for it. Now you need to transition. To explain to that seller that at some point you have to explain your intentions to either wholesale this, assign it, blah 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 blah, to move this because right, you're selling them right now. We're all selling them on what we want to do, but that's considering that we're going to control that property for an extended period of time, right? At what point and how is that transition from now you're at the table? I would imagine that you'd be in front of them, right? You're signing that contract. Is that when you would throw that in there, or?
That's a great question. There's two rules of thought that I have. The first one goes back to the old college days playing poker. Do you show your cards to the other players?
No.
Not unless you play that game where the card is on your forehead or whatever,
Right.
But in poker, you don't show your cards. Having said that, if you play one role, like you're going to live in the property, and then you switch gears on the guy and say, oh, now I'm going to remarket it, I think you're going to turn off a lot of people. They're going to get scared or they're going to get worried about you. They're going to question your integrity.
Yeah.
What I've been using very, very comfortably when I call people is, hi, I'm calling about your home. My name is Claude Diamond. I'm a private investor, and if we can, I'm looking for a home that I can either price or terms, if that's comfortable for you. And if not, it's okay to say no to me. I always say private investor in the beginning.
Well, the other thing that I always add too is, Mr. Seller, I'm not looking to live in this house personally. I'm a private lender, private investor. And so what I'm looking to do is to find a tenant buyer that wants to live in your house and make your mortgage payment, or whatever the rent is.
I like this one a lot, where you can say, Mr. Seller, what if either me or one of my buyers could lease this property for a few years and then buy it? You wouldn't be interested in that, would you? But I like how Claude uses private investor also instead of just investor. It makes it a little more personal.
Yeah.
But I like, though, when you say either me or one of my buyers could lease your property. It lets them know that you may stay in the middle, you may not, depending on how the numbers work.
Yeah, and that's real subtle, too. You aren't really calling a lot of attention to it, but at least you've set that idea in their head.
A lot of times I like to approach people as the professional, as the consultant. I'll say, I'm a private investor and I consult on real estate, and maybe I can help you. You mind if I ask a few questions, see if we can do business today, Mr. Seller? And I don't want to sound, I hear a lot of people on the phone in role plays and stuff, and what do they sound like when they call up the sellers? If they just came from
salesman.
Yeah, they sound.
Yeah, they sound like they're trying to sell something.
They sound like they're trying to sell something, and I think of the prospect on the phone immediately gets defensive, puts up the walls, raise this. What did you guys say on Star Trek? Raise the shields. Yeah. And I think right away you're working in a negative situation, environment. Whereas I'm going to call, hey, Mr. Prospect, I've got your number here, Mr. McCall. Is this about real estate? Do you have something for sale or rent, sir?
Yeah, I have a house for sale.
That's it. My name's Claude Diamond. I'm a private investor. I got your phone number from somebody here. You might. It's still available, you're saying?
Sure.
You mind if I ask you a few questions, see if we can do business today? Is that all right?
Yeah,
Boom.
fine.
That's kind of what I sound like. I want to ask. I ask permission to ask questions. I identify who I am, what I do, and I'm hoping that I don't sound too goofy or salesy. And he or she gets really defensive. Most people are pretty nice on the phone that I found when I do this. And then I set that agenda step, and
Claude, that's really, really good. I like that a lot. And you also sometimes say, you asked if I catch you in the middle of something, or it sounds like I caught you in the middle of something. Talk a little bit why you add that in as well.
You're asking permission to occupy their time.
Yeah, I always like to ask permission. I think it's a form of a stroke. People love to either receive strokes, compliments, be shown respect, or they like to give themselves strokes,
Yeah, you're showing them respect is what you're showing. You're respecting their time.
Yeah. I mean, the other day, my wife and I were talking to someone and said, hey, we were at Costco and we got this really good bottle of French wine that we loved, and we were talking about it. And the guy responded, well, my wife and I went on a wine tour. and people who play try and top this and everything, that they're stroking themselves. They like that. There's always that person who's got to try and top you. People either want to receive a stroke, a compliment, or they're going to give it to themselves. So let's say, when I say to somebody, Mr. Prospect, I know you're busy and everything. You mind if I ask you a few questions, see if maybe we can do business today? And if not, we're still friends. I'll get off the phone. It's okay to say no to me. That's a very dangerous guts move, and I do it because I know none of my competition will ever do that. I do believe in the different approach to people, so that I'm always scared they hear the same investor say the same thing all the time, and right away they react negatively. They put that chip on their shoulder. Did you ever hear when their voice drops? Oh, you're one of those. You're an investor. It's like, geez, I'm I'm not the guy they're looking for in the manhunt in Big Bear, California right now. I'm just an investor,
I'm not the devil.
My thing is, if I have good conversations, civil conversations, what I call the adult-to-adult conversations, and I can get enough information where I can make them emotionally involved, that's a great call. Whether I do the deal or not, I feel good. And when I feel good, I can make more phone calls. And I think the biggest thing in this business is so many people work so hard to get into this business, to learn it, and then when you get to when they get to the telephones, they freeze up or they're reluctant to make the call. That's my biggest fear, because this business is so good, but it's really, and you can have great leads. I know, Joe, you have a great lead program. Do you ever worry about, will these people call them up though?
Do I worry about who calling who up?
You have that great lead program that you do with Gil.
Yes, marketing service.
Yeah, the marketing, and I know you fill a real problem for a lot of people getting enough leads. But do you ever worry that, okay, now they have the leads and they've been filtered and qualified? Do you ever worry that these people don't call up these leads?
It happens all the time.
Oh,
Joe, I call him.
Good, Jeff.
I don't know that I always do a good job, but I call him.
And
I think what Claude's saying is really important. You want to be. I don't like people who teach that you need to pretend like you're interested in the house and it's for you, and then you throw them a curveball halfway through conversation, say that you're an investor. It just doesn't work for me personally. And I really like how Claude does it, where he asks permission. And he tells them right up front, but he does it in a real friendly way. And it doesn't sound like he's selling anything. He's just asking questions.
Yeah, but you watch out.
Right, but watch out.
Yeah, get a hold of your wallet.
Yeah.
My thing is, if you gotta have fun in this. You gotta have fun. You gotta be in control, and you gotta protect who you are. Because if you go out and, like when I first started in business, everybody was beating me up. I was the naive, self-conscious kid, and I'm probably the only one here. But boy, I'd rather do anything than make those phone calls. And and I saw other people in business. Man, they could talk to peeling wallpaper, and I said, how do they do that? I'd love to be like that. I was the kid who sat in the back of the room, never raised his hand or anything. And, do you think you have to be a certain personality type to do well in this business? That's a kind of a loaded question, but I'll throw it out to the group here.
Charismatic, yes. Outgoing. But ultimately it's kind of cliche yourself, right? You want to, like you said, know yourself and be confident in what your personality is. I think it helps to have the charismatic side, but not to have the fakeness with it, because people can sense that right away when you start getting the car salesman kind of flamboyant about everything. So got to watch that. But yeah, I think the main thing is, like you're saying, know yourself and don't let someone take over and try to poke at you, because they'll start smelling blood, if you will. They'll start smelling the weakness and keep biting. And then all of a sudden you hear that voice drop and then you lost it.
Yeah.
For me, it helps to just keep on thinking of yourself as a buyer. And you're not trying to sell them anything. You're just interested in buying their house. And the seller needs to sell you on their house. One of the questions
I like that.
One of the questions I like to ask is, Mr. Seller, do you have a nice house in a nice neighborhood? And all of a sudden, they're now answering my question and trying to convince me that it's a nice house.
They're selling you.
Sometimes I'll ask a question like, Mr. Seller, would you mind if I ask you a few questions to see if I'd even be interested in making an offer on your house?
I love that.
Yes.
That's kind of the takeaway.
Well, you're being the reluctant buyer. And if you have, at least it's a mental shift that you have to make. If you're the reluctant buyer, then it changes the whole dynamic of the conversation.
Yeah, that's so true.
Well, I've always said that I don't want to beg anybody to do business with me. They have to want to do business with me, and that's really kind of the same mindset. Is you got to get them selling you, and that's really what guts is all about. Is using the redirection to get them to, they've got to want to do business.
Yeah, that's so true what you're saying, Joe. I mean, ever since using this gut system, I mean, I'll cut it off like 3 minutes when I know it's not a deal, and I'll have the person on the other side of the phone like, oh, no, wait, trying to get me to stay on the phone with them, and I already know it's not a deal. And it's hilarious when you make yourself the reluctant buyer, like you were saying, and it frees you up so much more. So I like that.
One thing, too, that's helped me out a lot, just recently, Claude, he gave me that lecture on the lesson, right? And you run into all these people that, for me, I'm just going to, in my mind, fire them, which is kind of nice to be in step one, where it's like, well, I think I'm going to get off the phone now. It doesn't sound like it's work. Have a good day. But I'll finish with that and then keep, think of it as, well, what the heck? Let's see what else I can get out of them. Make it a game, basically. And then it becomes worth that conversation, and I'm not nervous because I don't really care. I mean, honestly, it's over for me in my head, and I could just keep practicing my skills. So,
how do we fire? I love what you guys are saying. You're preaching to the choir here. When you do this, what's the word? Transference. When you turn, part of guts and asking questions is to make the prospect defend their term, give you information, their motivation, their price, their terms, where they got stuff from. And a beautiful thing happens every now and then. The prospect turns into the salesperson. And you just sit back and you're just having a ball here, and they're trying to sell you, and you're getting all this stuff, and you're taking copious notes and things like that. And it's really great when there's that transference that occurs. And where you're just getting all this. I love that. When you say when you said fire the prospect, though, I just want to make it. We don't want to make it where it's contentious or nasty. We want to leave the barn door open a little bit. Mr. Prospect, Mr. Cook, doesn't sound like we're going to do business today. If I was in your position, little stroke, I'd probably want $150,000 for my $85,000 porta potty too. I'd feel the same exact way. But so it doesn't sound like we can do business today. If the situation, can I have your email address so maybe I could send you a follow-up letter? And if your situation changes, you have a way to contact me. But I really wish you well. Boom. I'm firing the prospect, but I'm doing it really nicely. Nicely. Does that mean I can call him back in 30 days? And
yeah, sure.
Has anybody here had the experience where you follow up? I'm really big on follow-up, by the way, guys. I can't tell you how many times the high and mighty seller or buyer or investor who I'm working with has one position one day and then does a 180-degree turnaround 30 days later. Henry, do you have anything? You ever see that happen? You do a lot of hands-on deals. Thank you.
I get people calling me back, Claude, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, asking me if my offer is still good. But it is. When you have that takeaway, you've got so much power. It's unbelievable, to be able to do that.
Isn't it?
I like to call that being tenderized by the market.
Explain that.
Well, it's just that the market, they've gone through all of the headache and stress and anxiety about how the hell am I going to get rid of this house for 6 months with a realtor. And the realtor's not making their mortgage payments.
Ooh.
And so
you wouldn't say that, would you, George?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's outrageous. Oh.
That's a guts move. And they've been tenderized. The market has shown them that their price. If it hadn't sold and it's been listed for 3 months or for 6 months, it's either one, too expensive, or two, in bad shape and too expensive. And think that the conditions haven't changed for them, other than the fact that time has gone by, but the market just isn't buying their property.
Do you ever? What else? In terms of follow-up, does anyone here ever send a contract regardless, just for the hell of it?
No, haven't done that.
I have. I've sent out an offer, even though they refused it and told me that hell and high water, I'm not going to take that price. I've had come back. I have some of them come back in the mail. You know, it's amazing. You know, when you do that, it's just like you said, Claude. It's a 180 degree type of turn, but I still send my offer out in the mail.
Can it hurt?
You never know. It could get to that point where they're just saying, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to do it, and it's done.
How about if they call you back and they're mad?
I've had some people call me up and that are pissed off. They're going, well, why do you offer me this? It's worth, 10 times worth that. And I just said, well, I'm an investor. This is what it is. You know, I said, or what I hate though, Claude, a lot of people say, because I ask them, what do you feel that your property's worth? A lot of them send me an offer. And I send them the offer. You know, they get it. It's like, what the hell is this? Well, you told me to send you an offer, didn't you? Yeah. Well, I sent you the offer. At that point. And then at least I get some sort of answer from them from that point.
Say that again. Say that part again.
Yeah. Which point? You mean the point where I said it? The point when they told me, well, when they received the letter and they received the offer, they said, well, what is this offer that you're sending me? Well, you told me to send you an offer. This is exactly what I did. It's a reaffirmation of what they told me what to do. They didn't give me a price, so I sent them what I felt what it was, what I was offering at that point.
I call it a stimuli and a response.
It is. Well, it's going to stimulate to do something. I mean, that's the thing. But I'm going to tell you, though, Claude, if they're calling you back and they're pissed off, that's good.
Yes!
Because guess what?
Yes!
Brilliant. Now we're going to the negotiation table. So I like, actually, when people call me up and they're pissed.
Because can't we diffuse that with guts?
Yes.
See, Mr. You apologize, you stroke them. You say, Mr. Prospect, I didn't mean to upset you. I just was trying to find a way we could do business. And now maybe you bring it down again, they calm down, and then you have a dialogue again. The more you talk with somebody, doesn't it get better every time?
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it great when they call you back, whether they're mad or happy or say, this is ridiculous, I'd never accept it. Who cares? You're getting them to call you back. Can we ever get enough prospects calling us?
Nope.
And I go back to my KISS method of business. 5 people a day to talk to. If I talk to at least 5 people, I'm not talking about phone calls and voicemails. If I can talk to 5 people a day, some say yes, a lot say no, some say I'll think about it, some are you just getting a lesson and having fun with them. It doesn't matter. At the end of the week, that's 25 people I spoke to. You tell me there's not a way to do business from 25 people. You can't do 1 deal, 2 deals, a consultation, a product sale, something. It's a numbers game, but let's be the house. Let's be the casino here and put the numbers in our favor. So I love that strategy here. It's just sending an offer sometimes to people through email, through Skype, through the mail. I think if you hand address an envelope and you send them an offer in the mail, you're going to get you have a high likelihood of response. Who uses the mail anymore? Your competition's probably not sending. I'm not getting anywhere the postal things from the gurus and stuff like that I used to years ago. How about you guys?
Not as many.
I was on every mailing list.
Yeah, Joe, you're still using the mail quite a bit, though, don't you, Joe?
Direct mail for sellers?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you find it's working because nobody else is doing it? It's unconventional today.
Well, I wouldn't say nobody else is doing it. I send postcards and yellow letters to absentee owners. Depending on your market, I mean, in St. Louis, not a lot of people are doing it. But in California, a lot of people are. But I tell you what nobody is doing is what we're talking about is sending offers or letters of intent to the sellers after you talk to them. That's a really good idea.
Mm-hmm. The key is after you talk to them, not just randomly, right?
Right, after you talk to them.
Okay.
My thing is to make that phone ring. Get a response. Make the phone ring. Make something happen that's positive as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean, Colt, one of the things what it is, it's an engagement, Colt. That's the thing, the reason why I do it. If they call you back, then there's a reason right there. That's an opening for you to talk to them. I mean, you're probably not going to get everybody calling you back that you'll send the offers, but the ones that call you back, that basically opens up the door for you to go ahead and continue negotiations.
Do you guys send, when you send out something, do you send just something small and other than the offer, right? Say you're just doing a follow-up, you just said, I was just thinking about putting a paragraph together, just saying, call us if anything changes. I'd love to help you out with your property, basically.
Well, my offer is basically one page. Very simple, very easy for them to sign and send back, at that point.
It's got to be something that stimulates them to pick up the phone, to react. Whether it's positive or negative doesn't really matter. The fact that you're just getting that phone call is great. And you guys know, if you've heard me before, I use iJot, and I don't know if a lot of you are aware, Joe and I were playing with it today. You can now send video messages through Skype here. Does everybody have that? It's on the new upgrade.
No, I don't think I have it.
It's a new button, a new pull down on the where the little plus is. You can now send video emails to people in your Skype contacts list. Joe and I were fooling around with that. I'm really big on using video for marketing, for making offers, for follow-up. Everybody I talk to, everybody who goes to my webpage or contacts me gets a video email from iJot. And the response rate is so much higher than just a regular email. So much higher. And that's what I want, to talk to people. So I use iJot a lot, just as a little side tip. Anybody else have any? Before we go today, anybody got, let me hear the application of the month. Anybody got any new apps they're using that are working great for the business? I mean, anybody use?
Nothing specifically. I'm working on one, which is a rent-to-own calculator.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to see mine?
Yeah.
It's the $3 one. It's the $3 one from Walmart.
Well, this one is a comparison between a traditional sale, a FSBO, and a rent-to-own, and basically it shows them that they get a lot more cash at the end of the transaction with a rent-to-own.
Is that going to be an iPhone app, George? Seriously?
Well, ultimately it will. I mean, right now I'm trying to bring it up on my website so I can use it for generating leads, and then I'll start flogging it around the internet.
Is this something you developed? You wrote the
No,
code?
I didn't write it. I'm having it written.
I'll tell you what. Get the bugs out of it, and if it works, I'm sure Joe and myself will help you market that thing, because I don't think anybody has anything like that. How about you, Joe?
I think that's a great idea, for sure. And if it could be something you can have on your website that your seller can look at, or maybe something that you can email to them. Yep.
Well, I was thinking about having sort of a two-step. The first step is give me your email, and we'll put you on our sellers list to contact. And here's the calculator. And then the next phase is to have a question at the bottom. Would you like us to make an offer on your house? Would you like a proposal from us? And if so, then what comes up is, a contact form, and they, take all the parameters from the calculator and store that. So then I can, make them a couple of offers. So I think it's a way to, to grab people that are trying to get their house sold.
Well, let me put it to you this way, Joe. If that was George, if that was an app, and you put it and you got accepted by what is it, iTunes or whatever, they sell all the apps, right. And let's say you gave it away for free or something, and then you start doing the upgrades, where you start charging for the upgrades, but people are starting to use it and get used to it because it's in their iPhone. When they go to a property, they can figure out all the things. It becomes part of their usage.
Right.
That's a lot of guys are making some great money doing just little cheap apps like that all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, you could charge $5 to snip it onto somebody's website too, if you had it designed that way. Just like you purchase an app, but you can plug it into a WordPress or something like that.
Right.
If that was feasible, also.
Yeah. Well,
Good idea.
that's interesting. Anybody else have another app they want to share with us, or anything they're using, or anything? I'm big on Evernote. I use it like crazy. I just throw everything into that Evernote, and I can retrieve it. It's you've heard me talk about it. It's my favorite app. I use Skype for so many phone calls and for recording training sessions and things like that. And I love it when I can get a buyer or an investor on Skype, because the face-to-face adds such a great dimension to the marketing. Told you about iJot already. Anybody have something they're using successfully?
Hey, Claude, I'm using Time Trade. And if you go to calljoe.net, it'll let people view my calendar and schedule a time to talk with me. I'm not as available as you are. I'll have my assistant call them, and if the assistant has to leave a message, she'll just say, hey, to schedule a call with Joe, just go to calljoe.net, which redirects to my Time Trade account, which lets people view my calendar, see my availability, and schedule a time to talk with me.
That's great, and that's keeps you a little bit more organized. You know when and where you're supposed to. You just look at your iPhone app or whatever.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm really doing the blog right now and setting up the squeeze pages and whatnot. So I like writing. We'll see if it works. So.
What blog system are you using, by the way?
WordPress.
WordPress is very good. WordPress is wonderful for Google. WordPress seems to really pick up. It has a lot of recognition and placement on Google search engine.
Right.
Well, if you're using WordPress, I got a couple of plugins recommendations for you.
Yeah.
The first one is All-in-One SEO. It's actually written by a guy here in Research Triangle.
Okay.
They've got something like 12 million downloads of it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's the most popular SEO plugin. And the other one is there's two of them. Well, the one that I'm familiar with, which I don't own, is called SEO Presser. And it's written by a guy by the name of Dan Tan, I think, Tan. Anyway, what it does is it enforces all of the on-page SEO stuff for you.
Okay.
So that'll help you.
And you said you had one more, George?
Yeah, I'll have to send it to you.
Okay. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is anyone here fooled around with Tumblr, Tumblr?
A little bit.
It's I love it. It's not high tech as WordPress, but it's so simple and it's very it's great if you have a lot of video and pictures, and it's I just love the simplicity of the design. I'm a KISS method guy. I'm not as high tech as some of you guys with the coding and stuff, but Tumblr, fool around with it. It's free, and it's the easiest blog I've ever seen to set up, and it's very attractive. There's some of the themes they have for free and stuff like that. Been also using Weebly, Weebly, which is also free, but you can upgrade. Very easy for setting up a web page too. On that. Anybody have anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to say TGIF, guys. This was fun. Thank you, Joe McCall, for joining us here.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Claude.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this a regular coaching call that you have?
This is our girls' coffee clutch. We we get together once in a while, and just no format or anything that I can think of. It's just whoever jumps on and has an idea, suggestion, wants to do role plays. We haven't done it in a few weeks, so I thought it'd be fun to do again. I think maybe we'll do it next Friday too.
Send me if you want, send me an invitation. I'll be glad to join if I can.
Yeah, we'd love to have you again. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen. You have a wonderful weekend and make some money here, okay?
Thanks, Claude. See you.
Take care, guys.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, fellas.
Nice meeting y'all.